Hello, everyone. My name is Muhammad Triqi, currently in my third year as a co-terminal student at Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. My academic journey involves majoring in computer science for my bachelor's degree and cybersecurity for my master's. I'm genuinely excited to present to you today and want to extend my gratitude for Professor Malik Weeb for providing me with this incredible opportunity. Today, we'll delve into simulations, showcasing concepts covered in the last chapter of your class. We'll explore encryption and decryption and SQL injection attacks backed by practical examples. Now, let's focus on encryption. Our aim here is to demonstrate how weak encryption algorithms can be susceptible to decryption techniques. Specifically, I'll highlight the power of frequency analysis and cryptanalysis. So to set the stage, I had to employ an Ubuntu virtual machine for this task. After powering it up, we'll navigate to command line where I have a ciphertext file called cipher.txt. So this file contains a scrambled text. Let's cat into it. So although the text appears to be scrambled, we'll leverage the fact that it consists of letters and spaces, indicating a straightforward mapping algorithm. So first, I'm going to be executing a grep command on this text. The goal of this is to list the frequencies for each letter that appears in this text. Let me show you an example. So if I execute this command on the letter A, we can see that the letter A appears 81 times in this text. So as we can see, the letter P appears 116 times and the letter O appears 93 times. So just a little spoiler, these are the two most frequent letters in this text. A very important information while using cryptanalysis is you have to know the frequencies for each letter in the alphabet in general. Drawing from the common frequency of letters in the English alphabet will make educated substitutions. So we're going to translate the letter P to E and the letter O to T, because the letter E is actually the most frequent letter in the English alphabet. It appears the most times in many texts, and the letter T is the second most frequent letter in English. So the second step is to translate the letter P and O to the letters E and T, as they appear to be the most two frequent letters in this text. And I'm going to put the result in the output 1.txt. Okay, now I'm going to cat into the output and see if I have any significant changes. So the next step is to translate the most common bigram in this text into the most common bigram in the English alphabet. So analyzing the most frequent bigrams in the text, or you can analyze this on the output 1.txt. It shows that the bigram AA appears 5 times, which is relatively frequent for a bigram. So I'm going to be translating AA to SS because SS is the most frequent bigram in English texts. Now I'm going to cat into output 2 and see if I have any improvements. Now, after performing some frequency analysis on this text, we can visualize some words and try to map the remaining letters by performing intuition. So as we can see here, we have YS. This is probably going to be is because we know that the letter S is in its right place, as well as this three-word letter is probably going to be the. So X is going to be mapped into H. So right now I'm going to be mapping Y and X into I and H from output 2.txt to output 3.txt. And to output 3. And we can see that there are some improvements. Okay, so the next step is to continue with this visual analysis process in order to translate the remaining letters using intuition. So by doing that, I concluded that the letter B, K, Y, C, N are probably mapped into the letters J, Y, and P. So you continue using that and see what the result is going to give you. If it's improved a little bit, then you're probably on the right track and you continue doing that until you have translated all the letters. Let's head into output 4.txt. So as we can see here, we have made a lot of progress. There are many words that appear to be mostly translated or completely translated, such as environments, internship, opportunities, and etc. And some of the words that remain in this text that are not currently translated is like computer. So we know that H should be translated into C. Z should be translated into A because this word is probably rapidly. And so we continue with that intuition and we bet on that word and see if that gets us anywhere, and you will eventually succeed. This might take some time, but it will eventually work if you use the right intuition and the right way of thinking about this. After performing multiple steps of cryptanalysis and visual analysis, um, I was able to translate this text. Output 10.txt shows the decrypted text. Computer science is rapidly changing the world, with new developments happening every day, a rigorous education combining theory, information, etc., etc. So that's how we perform cryptanalysis with some intuition, some visual analysis as well. And the goal for this task is to show how weak encryption algorithms can be decrypted without needing the key, especially when the text is a simple algorithm that maps letters into other letters. So now let's contrast this with the robustness of AES algorithm, known for its strength. So I'm going to be executing a command to encrypt a specific text using AES 128 bits and CBC mode. I'm just going to create a file with a random text. And now I'm going to encrypt this text using the AES encryption algorithm. It's prompting me for a password, so I'm just gonna enter whatever, 1234. Um, in Linux terminal, the password does not display when you enter it. I was verifying the password. So let's get into our encrypted file aes.txt. And as we can see that there is a key difference between the text, the encrypted text that we saw earlier and this encrypted text. So this is not a simple mapping algorithm that maps letters into other letters. We can see that there is some special characters, some um, randomness to this text. So the key takeaway from this task is clear. When encrypting data, the choice of algorithm is very important in safeguarding sensitive information. It's not just about encrypting, it's about choosing wisely to protect your data against potential vulnerabilities. Now let's move on to SQL injection attack. For this part, I will be simulating a real-world SQL injection attack on a vulnerable website. It's www.seedlabsqlinjection.com. Let's first get familiar with the website. So this login page can represent any login page in real world. It can be the login page of your bank account or the login page for an employee in a financial organization in your case. So if I attempt to enter my name and then a random password, it's going to fail to log in because the account information obviously doesn't exist. I don't have an account on this website. Let's try admin 123456. Same thing, the account information does not exist. The first attempt is to enter a SQL injection attack on a select statement. So if I enter admin quote, £, and then log in, there you go. I have some information that I shouldn't be allowed to access. As we can see, I have usernames, their IDs, their salaries, their birthday, their social security numbers, and etc. Okay, this is obviously a fake website. It's just for demonstration purposes. So all these information here are not real. We go back to the home page. So just to explain what happened with this specific attack on the select statement, when we enter admin quote £, into the username field, we can bypass the system's login credentials and gain access because of the way the PHP code is configured. The use of a single quote symbol before the £sign causes the SQL query to terminate prematurely, effectively nullifying the remaining portion of the code. In addition, the £sign comments the rest of the code. So as you know, in the backend, there is a code in SQL that is attempting to access information in the database. And if this code is not very well written from security standards, then a SQL injection attack can be easily performed and we will be allowed to disregard the password check altogether. Right now, I'm back to the terminal to attempt the SQL injection on select statement from the command line. So that the command curl www, then seedlabs SQL injection.com. This is just the website name. This part of the curl command %27, %20, and %23 represent quote and space and the pound sign respectively. Okay, entering the command, we can see that this actually works even from the command line. We were presented with an HTML layout of the same website that was accessed from the previous task, which indicates that the command was successful in retrieving the requested page from the server. Now we're back to our vulnerable website, specifically in the edit profile section. So I have the nickname Alicia in my database, as I noticed earlier from executing the SQL injection on the select statement. And what I'm going to do is change the salary for each user that matches this nickname to, let's say, $200,000, and then save. And as we can see, this was successful. So Alice has a nickname of Alicia. Well, in this case, every user has a nickname Alicia, so all users' salary were changed to $200,000. Now I can play with this as much as I want, so I can change the nicknames for some users and then enter specific salaries for each one of them. But I believe my goal to show you how a real-world SQL injection is performed was actually achieved. So those were two very simple examples that show how SQL injection works in real life and how vulnerable websites can be easily attacked. Now I want to show you at least one countermeasure for SQL injection. So in order to prevent from SQL injection attacks, all the enhancements have to be performed on the server side within the backend code by the person who wrote the backend code. So here's an example of how to write a prepared statement in PHP. We use a select statement in the following example. We show how to use prepared statements to write the code that is vulnerable to SQL injection attacks. So this is the vulnerable code. We have the SQL command, select name, local, gender from user table, where ID is ID and password is password. Okay, so the above code is vulnerable to SQL injection attacks. So what we're doing here is basically using the prepared statement mechanism, we divide the process of sending a SQL statement to the database into two steps. The first step is to only send the code part, the SQL statement, without the actual data. This is the prepare step. As we can see from the code snippet, the actual data are replaced by question marks. After this step, we then send the data to the database using bind parameter. The database will treat everything sent in this step only as a data, not as code anymore. It binds the data to the corresponding question marks of the prepared statement. In the bind parameter method, the first argument indicates the types of the parameters. I means that the data is ID, and ID has the integer type, and S means the data in PWD, which is the password variable, has the string type. Again, this countermeasure is called prepared statement that enhances security within the PHP code in order to prevent SQL injection attacks. Thank you for joining me on this technical journey. I trust you found the demonstration insightful and educational. I regret the absence of live Q&A, as this presentation was pre-recorded due to the challenges posed by time zone differences, making it difficult to align with your local schedule. I appreciate your understanding, and I am open to addressing any questions or feedback asynchronously. Thank you.